Scrawldawall making it with the Bishop Elijah deck. Korppu running Kagalichu. Socket, Diamond, and Sapphire versus Blood Wild. Korppu on the play has 2 resources: Emperor's Lackey, Exarch of the Egg, and Strangle. Then holding Hero Fall and Rotten Ranker. Some decent early. Getting a Emperor's Lackey will want to get into one more resource at least. Scrawldawall would currently only he's got 2 resources and a well. Diamond and a well. He has MC, he's got a Sentry. Pretty decent, pretty good start actually. With an Altar of Nozan for potential card draw.
Scrawldawall's deck has an interesting lineup of troops, right? It's not the ones you'd expect to see in a socket deck. You've got the MC and the Animuses, obviously, but a couple of strange ones in there as well.
I think it goes a shorter curve, smaller one, not the huge ones, and wants to buff them with Animus while also playing some of the socketed actions that also count for the synergies here. Like the Sorcerer Sculpting.
What do we see played here? Plenty of options. We've got the Altar, Sentry, double Sentry, in fact, for next turn, potentially going to cut the cost of those socket troops right down to basically nothing.
I've got socketed troops too, says Korppu, and plays a Runia Hierophant.
Sentry of Nilzan is no doubt the line here, and that actually puts those 2 socket troops in hand to 0. And a Talon as well. Consult the Talon there to exhaust those sentries. And draw some cards. Interesting stuff. Strangle on the Infiltrator here.
Decides not to play the Consult. He needs a second Sapphire. I suppose that's a good reason to not play it.
Needs the second Sapphire and needed a resource opener, but he can do it this turn if he wants to. MC is going to draw a card. Dark Art is the draw, and Consult the Talon is now played, leaving him 2 resources open with a couple of Into the Unknowns in hand. The first Spider comes off from that Exarch of the Egg, and Dark Art comes down for 0. 0 cost Dark Art.
-2 cost from being drawn that turn. The major diamond gem there. And -3 from Sentries. Free Dark Hearts sound good. Spider is sacrificed.
Now it's worth noting here that cards were played and resources were not held up, which means that this Sorcerer Sculpting potentially puts some work in here, getting another Dark Card before it can be removed. Elijah's going to pick up the Infiltrator instead, though. And likely that's an effort to keep those removals at bay using the Rune Bind that's in hand. We see Tactician coming as well. That's going to exhaust the Exarch, leaving the way open for the Star card to swing. Interesting stuff.
And any of these socketed troops entering play also exhaust the Exarch. And that may be its plan. Decks that don't go wide, have singular things that can be targeted and exhausted down, leave way for the Swarm. In fact, Strangle being used on the Grimskull Sorcerer.
He is not interested in having his troops exhausted, that's for sure. We see Trial of Totems coming. That's going to make a... What did it make? What is that? Oh, it's a Gallant Sentinel. Gallant Sentinel is what it made.
It's also a socketed card that you can use on your opponent's turn, double dipping on the altars once per turn. Once for yours and once for your opponent's.
Animus is down and he's buffing stuff. That means a 3/3 MC and a 5/5 Infiltrator. And that's going to be a little bit more as well here, thanks to the second Fate Weave and the second Socket Troop. 4/4 and a 6/6, an 8/6 in the sky now. Some big damage.
We just aren't seeing the board wipes. No, with Lasgard's Vengeance gone, and we haven't seen very much Dreaming Fox running Clash of Steel and Eldorathan's Glory. Blood isn't running Massacre. These wide board states are coming out.
In a bid to have a 5/5 in the crypt for this Rancor and keep the Exarch alive, we see the sacrifice of the Hierophant there, but it's met with Runebind, so that means it's a no-go. And the Elijah deck wins out here against Kagalichu.
Kagalichi's going to want some revenge. This is a top 8 match. $125 guaranteed to a top 4 finisher. So it's very important to get into that top 4. Scrawldawall, halfway there with 1 game win. Here's game 2. Hands are kept.
Double Chomp Knight here has had enough of those artifact socket troops.
But you've got to get there. They're 5 cost.
They are indeed. But I mean, they're potential resurrection targets too. Killing off a troop and destroying another one, and then another one with the Death Cry. Very good Rancor targets if you're up against heavy artifacts. But yeah, expensive hand, and the only thing that's playable right now is that Crusader, but it isn't much better on the other side.
Also expensive. Into the Unknowns, Answers, Darkheart, and a Deathless Infiltrator. Korppu does pick up a Hero Fall. Single target removal against a low troop hand. Korppu lays down the Runir Hierophant. First to Osaka, the troop goes to the Kagalichu player. Scrawldawall will throw down the Deathless Infiltrator. Doesn't need to Into the Unknown the Hierophant right yet. Could get some damage through if any Fate Weaves happen to happen. Hey, there's a Sapphire Ice in Scrawldawall's hand. Meanwhile, Korppu plays Underworld Crusader.
Be a Diamond Ice, who knows?
Could be. You never know. It's the blue one. Sapphire Ice will Fate Weave. Fate Weaving give Deathless Infiltrator +2 attack and flight until the start of your next turn. So you could even keep that up as a flight blocker. And is trading into the Skyguard sets.
Is he willing to let that go? Interesting choice, actually. He transformed it into a Bride of the Damned? No! That's
did.
Silly. Anyway, it's interesting because he actually gained the +1/+1 there from the action being played, so he could have actually killed the Underworld Crusader and bounced the Hierophant if he wanted to. But chose to bounce the Crusader to, I guess, stop the card draw.
If he never zoomed in on that Bride of the Damned, you wouldn't know that it didn't start in his hand.
Yeah, and I guess he didn't.
He doesn't want it. He's gonna go ahead and Into the Unknown that. Now it's Demented Ascension.
There's every chance there that he legitimately thought that was a card in his deck and didn't zoom in to see if it was the Crusader. But I mean, he might be running Bride of the Damned anyway, so that might have transformed the rest of the Bride of the Damned.
What do you need to do in order to play Demented Ascension?
The opponent has to have more cards in their crypt than in their deck for it to transform.
Would be quite something if that were to trigger this game.
Well, it's not triggering now, it's in the crypt.
Nope.
Is the Oh no, it's a slow shot, so Darkheart can't come down this turn. Altar of Nulzan can, though. That's going to be a strangle onto the Infiltrator. And yeah, Darkheart can make an appearance next turn, but so potentially can these Chomp Knights.
Funny enough, Darkheart of Nulzan will force you to sacrifice your Altar of Nulzan if it's your only non-socketed card.
Yeah,
Darkheart
that's
doesn't
true.
like altars.
He doesn't like altars to himself. He's a anti-worship kind of guy.
Also doesn't like sentries.
So Darkheart is okay here, but it doesn't make the Hierophant sacrifice itself. And it sacrifices the altar. It's not amazing, but I guess it is the only play available.
It is also the only dark card in Scrawldawall's deck. No other dark
Interesting.
cards are voided after that hero fall.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair enough. It is a -2 cost on draw Darkheart, so you probably don't want too many of those in.
Scrawldawall holding up Sorcerer's Sculpting has 2 in Consult the Talons and a Rune Binding into the Unknown. Has some control, but Korppu has just reached 7 resources. Mistress of Bones and Eternal Seeker, Rotting Chomp Knight. Wants to nom on some altars. Dislikes altars as much as Darkheart does.
Or likes them way more, to the point of finding them a delicious food for his Chomp Knight pet.
That may very well be. The Altar of Nulzan will be used to create an effigy of Nulzan that will result in a card draw next turn.
It might do. It also might not. Poor Gang comes out, and this is not looking good for Scrawldawall. This is looking like things are going to be evened up just a smidge here. Like
Scrawldawall
this hand from Korppu is insanely good. And honestly, Scrawldawall can't do much with his hand. It's got a couple of Consult the Talons, which right now are a little bit dead.
They can't even be used right now. Source of Sculpting. What good will it do right now? And Korppu just drawing like a champ has Gruesome Deed, now Strangle. You really want to eat that altar. Or Effigy. No, but eat the Effigy. That's your blocker. Scrawldawall has Into the Unknown. Would otherwise be taking 12 damage with 12 health. That is fatal damage. So Into the Unknown has to be played here. Turn Rotpagang into something else. It's now Violet's Caress. Still takes 6 damage. Or still Shardsworn. Played. Altar draws a card.
That was a very brave use of Consult the Talon.
I don't think you really have a choice here. I mean, they're your 2 blockers, but they're only chump blocking and digging into 3 more cards, not finding what is needed, and this will take it to game 3. Korppu hoping to take this momentum and win game 3. Scrawldawall wants to come back on the play and win this evened out match for the top 4. Hands are kept. We have 2 ices of unknown shard. There's Sapphire.
Could be Ruby Eyes for all I know. On the bottom here we have a Sentry of Nulzan, an Altar of Nulzan, a Consult the Talon, a Runebind, and a Trial of Totems. All pretty spicy guys down the bottom there. And up on top we have a Rotten Rancor, a Gemborn Prowler, a Gemborn Prowler. Some serious hate going on. 2 Gemborn Prowlers and a Rotting Chomp Knight. Will Scrawldawall be able to battle through all of this hate?
Eat your altars. I'm gonna Gemborn Prowl and your other socketed things and all sorts of stuff.
Honestly, though, the Trial of Totems doesn't necessarily make a socketed troop, so if the diamond comes off, maybe those 2 Prowlers don't do a whole lot this game. We see Scorn of Oberon, another artifact take card. There's the diamond, and that means Trial of Totems here is 100% playable next turn. Maybe that Trial of Totems is just going to win this game by itself. So much hate for socket cards, and there's going to be a non-socket card just running around doing crazy stuff. Altar of Nulzan is the choice.
I am a non-socketed, non-artifact troop. What do you do against me?
There's a hero fall, never mind. Oh, there's a Runebind. It's okay, there's a Runebind, don't worry. There's another altar. Does he play it, or does he play the Trial of Totems? Find out next week. Oh no, we'll find out now. He plays the Altar of Nulzan.
Super greed.
Hero
It's
fall.
not really super greed.
Hero fall on the Sentry. That means no answer for this Trial of Totems currently. Nothing in Crypt for the Rancor. Let's see what Kagalichu digs up. Let's put Yazakan in the Crypt, which is pretty good. And picks out a resource. So there's the Animus of Nulzan. Drawing a couple of cards there. One of them being the all-important resource here. Yeah, Shard Swarm can come down if it wants to, but it could... Oh, he's trying to Runebind his own Animus. Irons. So the line of making Trial of Totems win the entire game has not been taken. There's another hero fall. Scorn of Oberon's going to kill off one of the altars.
Which is a shame, because if that chain didn't happen, Trial of Totems is played on the opponent's turn and draws 2 cards.
Sentry's back in the game. This Trial of Totems isn't being played, and it's driving me crazy.
It's the key to the game.
It is! Runebind, Consult the Talon, Nagan, Lapidary, so a full hand once again here from Scrawldawall.
Alright. It's either Runebind or Trial of Totems. Depends on what Korppu's trying to do. Rotting Chomp Knight. Drawing the card in response.
It's made...
There it is.
Is that a Righteous Heir?
That is a Righteous Heir.
That's pretty fantastic, considering the 2 Necrotic that lie in the opponent's hand here.
The Gemborn Prowlers have been revealed, indeed.
Animus is in, followed by Infiltrator. No resources up yet.
And both Gemborn Prowlers have used their ability, so they are not able to void any of the socketed troops. Hero Fall still available.
Hero Fall and Rancor. Hero Fall on the Nagan Lapidary here. Doesn't want his opponent sacrificing that off to steal the Chomp Knight, I guess. Sacrificing Chomp Knight with Lackey to kill Animus is a fair enough play. And Sorcerer Sculpting off the top. Here's another Consult the Talon. For 3 new cards, there's another Animus. Resource. Into Altar. Into Animus. And maybe he sculpts another Animus for himself here. Decides not to. Holds up the Runebind. Another fair choice, I reckon.
Throughout all of this, both players are still at 21 health.
So here's the Rancor trying to take that out. Runebind meets it head on and stops that from becoming a thing. So yeah, I mean, it's looking good. Scrawldawall here. Into the Unknown's another great pickup. Sculpting on the Animus, +1/+1 to all socket troops, plus a copy of that socket troop with an extra socket. 8 in the air. into the unknown, bounces the troop, giving +1/+1 to that as well. And that is it's a little bit of damage.
23. 23 is enough. And that is Scrawldawall making it into round 2.
Yeah, Scrawldawall with the sockets, pushing on through. And leaving another Kagalichu loafing around in the bottom 4.